Greetings everyone. The topic for today is IELTS essay and we will be discussing about advantages outweigh disadvantages types of essays in IELTS. If you haven't subscribed my YouTube channel, subscribe it to get more updates related to the types of essays, English grammar and English language learning lessons. Moving towards the question of our essay, many businesses choose to recruit from their own country rather than sourcing from overseas. Do advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? So over here you can see it very clearly it is written or mentioned that advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages. So you need to mention such type of the essay. We will be discussing in detail about the format and features of advantages outweigh the disadvantages type of the essay. So first is the introduction paragraph where you need to mention about the background statement. Then you need to paraphrase the question or given topic. Statement of advantage should be mentioned and original opinion, your opinion should be mentioned in the last sentence of introduction paragraph. Next paragraph is related to advantage 1. You need to mention the point number 1 or advantage number 1. You need to explain it and provide an example related to that particular point or advantage number 1. Same is the case with advantage number 2, which will be your third paragraph. You need to mention advantage number 2, explain it and mention the example of advantage 2. For disadvantage, you need to mention the point, explain and how to tackle. You need to mention the solution for that disadvantage as well, how to combat with that disadvantage and provide an example. So there's a note that you have to write one drawback in a way that it is normal thing and if it can be and it can be tackled. If the problem is there, so it can be tackled, so it's not a big issue. For the conclusion, mention the two advantages and solution for your disadvantage in your conclusion paragraph. You can write advantage 1 and advantage 2 in a single paragraph or either you can write it separately. So in total we are having 5 paragraphs. One is for introduction, 2 is for advantage 1, 3 is for advantage 2, 4 is for disadvantage and 5th one is the conclusion paragraph. So for introductory paragraph, as you can see that it is written here, the process of hiring employees to operate a business is inevitable and mandatory process. So this is the background information. And businessmen tends to engage workers from their own country for their firms in order to meet the dire needs of their progress, also entitle them in diverse designations. This is your paraphrase of the question. This modern practice entails extraordinary advantages including cost effectiveness and also to eradicate unemployment from their country. So again, you have mentioned this thing and in the end you are telling them about your opinion that I strongly defend the implied advantages of this practice and affirm their preeminence over some minor drawbacks. What is your point of view? That you are implying the advantages of this practice, but there is some minor drawbacks which you will be mentioning with the solution of that drawback. So second paragraph, advantage 1, the fundamental benefit. So this is the phrase which you need to mention in order to start your paragraph, that this is one of the fundamental advantage which is associated with lucrativeness is the tendency to pay less amount of remuneration. Any business organization will consider always to limit the expenses of their staff or faculty members to boost their income. Private institutions would keenly engage those participants who would prove to be budget friendly for them. They will speculate new strategies accordingly in order to provide their staff with less budget luxuries, and such business oriented approach is always fruitful for them. For instance, if our company always entitle the representatives from their country, so no need arises to pay surmountable money to a non-native hired employee. So you can mention any company is just for this company is just mentioned for the example. So you have mentioned advantage number 1, you have explained it and then you have provided with an example. You can see that the sentence which is starting from the fundamental benefit associated with lucrativeness is tendency to pay less amount of remuneration. This is the advantage 1. Then you have explained it and they will speculate new strategies. You have explained and you have mentioned each and everything that why they do that and you have provided with an example. Now moving with another considerable advantage, which is advantage number 2, you can see that another considerable advantage that utterly magnifies is the eradication of non-employment from the country. So to hit a home run and leading the country towards glorious achievement, one has to admit the fact that charity begins at home. Enlisting employees from within a country can be contrary to howling success and uprooting joblessness. So this is again the advantage too, that it magnifies eradication of unemployment from the country. So this is the advantage too. You have explained this point and you have mentioned with an example that enlisting employees from within a country can be contrary to howling success and uprooting joblessness. So you have mentioned there the advantage. And the disadvantage paragraph, you can see that opulence of this 10 point reflects that the idea of engaging workers from the country has drawbacks as well. So what is that drawback? Diversity comprising is eminent among all. So diversity compromising is eminent, and denigrating views contend that providing jobs to the natives of the country will result in competitiveness of the cultural diversity, which includes different range of notions, cultures, linguistic and entire approach towards competitive phases. So such setbacks though carry least viability and can be pragmatically controlled. Here you are providing them with a solution that if we give our employees exposure to international business forums, so they may learn and exhibit their potentials in challenging avenues. You have used, you are, if you use such vocabulary, opponents, denigrating views, and so many other things, which so many other words which are which we have used in this paragraph, so obviously it will give a good impact in your writing skills. To conclude, the recruitment of the employees from own country is laden with incentives in the form of cost effectiveness and long-term in unemployment eradication for country. So in the conclusion, you have mentioned the two advantages, which one is the cost effectiveness, that you don't have to pay extra money to the other employees, and the second one is the eradication of unemployment in your own country. So the disadvantage, now you will mention in this next sentence that the associated minor reservation can be solved through deliberate and practical approach will optimize the gaining. So again, the conclusion, here you have mentioned two advantages and one disadvantage point for the conclusive paragraph. Moving with the model essay for advantages outweigh disadvantages, you will be having such sort of the question that part-time job along with studies is a new trend these days for students across the globe. Do advantages outweigh the disadvantages of part-time job? So you need to mention the things in detail, that how the advantages outweigh the disadvantage. Like advantages of this particular thing is great, but there is a minor disadvantage, and how you will tackle with that disadvantage. So moving with our first paragraph, you can see that the ever-increasing cost associated with the pursuits of higher education is compelling students to consider part-time job as an authentic option. So this is the background information, and now you will paraphrase it, that the registrants of the colleges and tertiary level institutions are bluntly stepping into the professional field of by selecting entry-level positions. Waiters, assistants, helpers at the restaurant, cafes, and retail outlets are mostly the full-time students. This modern practice entails extraordinary advantages, including financial saving. You have mentioned one advantage, and workplace exposure, second advantage, which are mandatory for career progression. I strongly defend the implied advantages of this practice and affirm their preeminence over some minor drawbacks. So whenever you are writing advantages outweigh disadvantage, you can mention this sentence, that you strongly defend the implied advantages of this practice and affirm the preeminence over some minor drawback, that there are some minor drawbacks, and for this you will be mentioning a solution as well, or a way how to tackle with that problem. Moving with the advantage one, you can see that the fundamental benefit. Once we have mentioned in the introductory paragraph that there are the two advantages, financial saving and exposure to the workplace. So in this paragraph, first you will be talking about financial saving, then you will be discussing about the exposure of the workplace. So the fundamental benefit associated with the concept of irregular employment is the tendency to enable students in saving a considerable amount of money for the institution's fees. The implied fee structure of higher education are extremely expensive and students become susceptible to ultimate financial limitation. Even parental support cannot assist them. Instead of help, you are using the word assist them in managing their institution charges, and in this the wake of the such complications, students compelled to work and earn simultaneously. So compound complex sentence has been used over here. First, you have mentioned the advantage, then you have explained the advantage, and part-time jobs are effectual for instrumental in generating a reasonable amount of suffice to finances so to finance their studies and living expenditures. Now you are providing with example that, for instance, a young high school student can easily make up to $1,800 by dedicating a few hours per day on monthly basis. In Dash or in Mansion, and in any, you can mention any two countries, such hard-earned money later on provides foundations to tackle education and regular expenditures without much hassle. So next paragraph, advantage number 2, as you can see, an indentation is there as well. So another considerable advantage that utterly magnifies the imperativeness of side hustle job is augmented workplace exposure at younger age. So at younger age, when you are exposing to the job or workplace, you will get more practice, and you will be aware of different scenarios of the workplace or that particular field which you are joining to put forward. Gone are the days when the professional métiers used to revolve around the degrees, and nowadays underlying emphasis on practical knowledge, wisdom, work ethics, and teamwork and project oriented aptness. So you have mentioned so many things in a single sentence that gone are those days. Now people will focus on what things: practical knowledge, skill, wisdom is there, work ethics, teamwork, and project oriented aptness. If you have all such elements, qualities, or skills, then this will be appreciated. You will not be entirely judged on the basis of your degree. Students may not necessarily attain these skills from a degree. Um, but the practical job can be surely boost their personal and professional potential. You are telling them that it's not necessary to attain these skills from a degree. Practical job environment can inculcate all these skills within you. So first you have mentioned the advantage, then you have explained it, and then you have provided an example. Moving towards the second last paragraph of our essay, which is the, you can say, advantages outweigh the disadvantage. So there is a minor disadvantage related to this topic, and you are providing them with the solution of that disadvantage as well. So opponents of this standpoint, obviously you are holding this opinion that there are two advantages for this topic, but there are some opponents of this particular point of view. What they think, you need to mention it. So opponents of the standpoint reflect that they think that the idea of working amidst in the middle of the studying years and between the studying years attributes a few downfalls as well. So what are the downfalls or of working in your student life? So time-based intricacies are most eminent among all. Denigrating view contend that jobs, either full-time or part-time, necessitate time and undivided attention of the employees during working hours. Time, meanwhile, is the irreplaceable and precious asset for the students because they have to execute a heap of assignments and projects within deadlines. So you have mentioned this thing that time intricacy is one thing which is you can say a little bit of the disadvantage during the being a student and having the studies, and then you are going for jobs. So this is one of the impediment. Distraction from educational activities can make matters worse for the students as well. So when you don't have time, so obviously you'll be distracted from educational activities, and such setbacks, such drawbacks, though carry minimum viability and can be pragmatically controlled through the intervention of career and management consultancy that even accelerate the pace of learning on both educational and professional frontiers. So you have provided them with the solution that this can be controlled with the help of intervention of career and management consultancy. and it will accelerate the pace of learning on both educational and professional frontiers. You will be a good student, and in your job place or professional frontiers you will be good as well. So to conclude, again, you need to mention 2 advantages and 1 disadvantage in conclusion paragraph. You can see that we are starting our conclusion paragraph with the words, or like to conclude with the phrases to in conclusion. It's up to you which word or phrase you are using. So to conclude, the practice of part-time jobs during studying is laden with short-term incentives in the form of from financing and long-term fruition in the form of extensive professional experience. The associated minor reservations can be solved through deliberate and adequate consultancies and can optimize the gaining of whatever the job you are doing. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel to get more updates related to IELTS, essays, IELTS writing, listening, and speaking skills besides related to the English grammar and English language learning lessons. Thank you.